Okay, we're in Chapter 6, and this is a four-part exercise. We're going to be talking about perpetual inventory systems, which are inventory systems where you know exactly what you have in your inventory at all times, because as soon as you sell something, it takes it right out of inventory. It's like inventory is constantly being updated with every sale. So the first one of these four methods, part one of this problem, is specific identification. Here we have some information about items that we bought and sold, and here we have the amounts that we paid, and here's what we sold these items for. And this problem starts with Liberty uses a perpetual inventory system. Ending inventory consists of 349 units. Now this wording is only for this particular method, which is specific identification, which means you know exactly which items that you have left in your ending inventory, and you know exactly which ones you sold. So they're telling you, they're saying that of this 349 units, we had 184 from the January 30th purchase. We had 129 from the January the 20th purchase, and we had 36 from the beginning inventory. So they're telling you exactly which units that you need to put together a cost calculation on and come up with a total ending inventory valuation. So let's do it. Alright, on January the 30th, according to this information right here, we had 184 units at $5 a piece. That was this purchase right here. Total $920. On January the 20th, we had another 129 units at $6 a piece. That came again from this purchase right here, $774. And on January the 1st, we had 36 units from that beginning inventory, and they were costed at $7 a piece. Here's what the total ending inventory value is using specific identification, which is going to be $1,946, and it all adds up to 349 units, and that's the cost of that ending inventory. Now you can do another calculation here and find out what your cost of goods sold is. The cost of goods sold is going to be, we start with the 692 units that we had available to sell, starting beginning inventory and so forth, so on. That's the total of what we had available to sell. That's the total dollar value of those units that we had available to sell, which was $4,122. And when you subtract off the ending inventory of 349 units at $1,946, you'll get the cost of goods sold, which would be $2,176. A very, very important concept to understand is goods available minus ending inventory equals the cost of goods sold. You can also say that the ending inventory and the cost of goods sold together, both these added together, should equal goods available. So keep this idea in mind. It's very, very important. That's part one. Let's go on now to part two of the problem. Again, this is a perpetual inventory system where you know exactly what your inventory is at all times. And under this method, we're going to use something called the weighted average approach. So let's put this on this grid below here. We've got dates, we got purchase, when we purchased something, when we sold something, and the balance. So here we go. We started with a beginning inventory on January the 1st of 194 units at $7 a piece, $1,358. So there's our beginning balance. We're going to sell on January the 10th. Looks like 144 units, and we're going to sell them at a retail amount, but we don't really care about that too much. All we care about is what do these units cost us. Well, since these are the only units we've got, and it's the only units we got are $7 a piece, these units cost $7 a piece for a total of $1,008. And since we sold 144 of them, we got 50 of them left. That is 194 minus the 144 we sold. So right now on January the 10th, we have 50 units left at $7 a piece. Let's go on to the 20th. On the 20th, we purchased another 274 of these units These are all, by the way, the same thing. We're just getting them at different prices. We bought another 274 of these units. We paid $6 a piece for them, or a total of $1,644. We didn't sell on the 20th, but now we have to come up with a weighted average cost. So the 50 we had plus the 274 that we bought means we have a total of 350 of these units, and their total value, excuse me, did I do that wrong? Oh yes, I'm sorry, hang on, let's start this over. We have the 50 that we bought right here that we paid $350 for, and that's this 350, and the 274 that we bought that we paid $1,644 for, and that comes out to a total dollar amount of $1,994 and a total unit amount of 50 right here plus the 274, or 324 units. And so we're going to get a weighted average cost by taking that 324 units, dividing it into $1,994, and our weighted average cost per unit on January the 20th. It's always going to be changing because we're always going to be getting new units in and selling units and so forth and so on. But right now, that weighted average cost per unit is going to be 6.154 a piece. So now let's sell 199 of these on the 25th, 5 days later. So we're going to sell 199 of these 324 units, and the cost will be $6.15 a piece, or $1,225 would be the total cost of goods sold on those 199 units. And now we'll come up with a let's see, a balance here. Our balance will be, let's see, we had 324 units, and we sold 199 of them, so it means we have 125 left, and their weighted average cost per unit is $6 and 15.4 cents a piece, or a total of $769. Now, on January the 30th, we bought 224 more units at $5 a piece, and that was a total of $1,120. So we'll put that on the next line down under purchases. We haven't sold any units on the 30th, so we can come now across with our weighted average cost per unit on the 30th, which would be the combination of what we had before plus this additional purchase. So let's do that. Let's see, we have this bunch of inventory that was $769, and that was 125 units. We purchased another 224 units at $5 a piece, or $1,120. So we can say the $769 plus the $1,120, add those two together to get $1,889, and that's dollars. Add our units together to get, let's see, we have 125 units right here, and we have 224 units there, so that's going to be a total of 349 units. And if we divide that 349 units into our new total dollars we have that's left on our inventory, we now have a new weighted average unit cost of $5.413 each. So let's see, so that's at January the 30th, and now we're ready to go on to the third inventory method, which is FIFO. FIFO says the first thing we get in is the first thing that goes out the door. So first in, first out. Here's the same information we've been dealing with all of these other three sections here. And now let's put down what we start with on January the 1st. Start with 194 units at $7 a piece, $1,358, which came from right here. Okay. Next, on the 10th, we sold 144 of these units at $7 a piece. That's the cost, because that's the only cost we've got right now. That's $1,008. So our balance will be 194 minus 144. Our balance will be 50 units at $7 a piece, and that's a total of $350. That's our ending inventory right now on January the 10th. Let's go on to the 20th. On the 20th, we purchased 274 more units at $6 a piece. Total would be $1,644. We didn't sell any on that 20th. And now we're going to come across here and get an ending inventory balance as of the 20th of January, which will bring down this layer of inventory, which was at $7 a piece, and we'll add it to this 274 units at $6 a piece, and our ending inventory on January the 20th, or inventory that we have that's available, will be $1,994, and that's made up of these two layers, the layer at $7 a piece and this layer at $6 a piece. Okay, now it's time to really see how FIFO works. So on the 25th, we sold 199 units. So the question is, which do we pick from here? Well, since the first thing in is the first thing out the door, and these are the two layers we have, we've sold all of these, 50, and since we sold a total of 199, we've sold 149 of these units that we paid $6 a piece for. So we sold all of these at 50, these ones that were $7 a piece, and we've sold 149 of these that we paid $6 a piece. So it's now time to come up with the total cost of goods sold for this sale would be $1,244. The sum of these two, $350 and $894. And now we have to come up with an ending inventory on January the 25th, which is going to be, since we have none of these left at $7, we have 125 of these left at $6, and that's a total of $750. So let's see, is that it? That's it. So now let's go on to January the 30th. On the 30th, we bought 224 more of these, and we paid $5 a piece for them, a total of $1,120. We didn't sell any, so our balance will be, we still have these units, which would be 125 at $6 a piece, and we're going to add this layer to it, which would be 224 more units at $5 a piece, or a total of $1,120. And our total in inventory at the end of this January 30th period, or at the end of January, will be $1,870. And our total cost of goods sold for this FIFO January period would be the $1,008, the $1,244, to come up with a total of $2,252. So now it's time to go to the fourth method, which would be LIFO. LIFO says that the last thing in is the first thing out. Now, LIFO is just an inventory method. It's a perpetual method. It's one of the perpetual methods. And I know that in the real world, most of the time, goods flow like first in, first out. First thing in, first thing out, especially perishable goods, because you want to try to sell these things before they are not sellable. But LIFO is just a method that's on a computer. It's just something that is not necessarily the way your physical goods flow. And the accounting profession lets you take and use this method even though it doesn't match the physical flow of your goods. Most people use LIFO because they're trying to have a low inventory and on the balance sheet, a low income figure on their on their income statement to pay less taxes. Most people use LIFO to avoid taxes. And again, the method is approved, and it doesn't necessarily have to match the physical flow of the goods. So let's go on and get this going here. We start with our beginning inventory of 194 units at $7 a piece, which is $1,358. That's January the 1st. On the 10th, we have sales of 144 units, and since these are the only units we have to pick from, then LIFO is just these numbers, which would be 144 of these that we paid $7 a piece for, or a total of $1,008. And our inventory balance that's left after that sale will be 50 units at $7 a piece, which is a total of $350. Next, on the 20th, we purchased 274 units at $6 a piece, which is $1,644. We didn't sell any on the 20th, and so our balance on the 20th will be We'll bring down the 50 units that we had from on the 10th. These 50 units we bought at $7 a piece. We'll add to that a new layer of 274 units at $6 a piece that we just purchased. And our inventory at this date on the 20th is going to be $1,994. So far there's not much difference in these methods in between LIFO and FIFO. Now on the 25th we sold 199 units, and this is where the difference comes in now. If we sell 199 units, then we're going to add the last thing in as the first thing out. So we're going to sell 199, and they're all going to come from this $6 batch right here, because the last thing in was the first thing out the door. So they're all going to come from that, which means that our inventory balance at January 25th after that sale will be, let's see, it'll be the 50 units we had at $7, and what's left from, let's see, we had 274, 199, which means we have 75 of these units left that we paid $6 a piece for. So that means our inventory balance on January the 25th after this sale will be $800. That's the 350 plus the 450. The last thing we're going to do is purchase on the 30th 224 more units, and we're going to pay $5 a piece for those. We didn't sell anything on the 30th, but we have to put together a balance, and this balance is going to be made up of probably 3 layers here, it looks like. The first layer is going to be one of the layers is going to be the 75 units that we had from the ones that we bought at $6 a piece, which is $450. We're going to also have the 224 units we just purchased over here on the 30th, and that's going to be the ones that we paid $5 a piece for, which is $1120. And we never did sell these up here, these 50 units at $7 a piece, so we'll, let's see, we're going to bring that on here. And that means that we'll have 3 layers. We'll have 50 units at $7 a piece. That's on the 30th now. 75 units at $6 a piece, which is $450, and 224 units at $5 a piece, which is $1,120. Or our total ending inventory on January 30th will be $1,920. The cost of goods sold for the whole month will be the sales we had on the 10th for $1,008, and the sales that we had on the 25th for $1,194, a total of $2,202. So we've done specific identification, we've done weighted average, we've done FIFO, and now this is LIFO, and we're finished.